24 to 9, time to talk business with our partners 2 Degrees. The numbers are in. This is for the Red Meat Processor Alliance. Voting has taken place yesterday and we have a deal. They've decided to sell to the Irish multinational Dawn Meats. Garth Bray, Business Desk, has been looking at this. Garth, so it's happening.
Dawn deal, yeah. They've just announced the results from the voting yesterday in Invercargill. 87% support from farmer shareholders. They said there were 2,675 shareholders voted, representing more than 88% of shares on issue. So probably a strong endorsement, which is arguably what even those who were a bit sceptical about this said they wanted.
Because you needed more than 75,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So they've gone way and above.
They've gone above, and basically this is a deal that says the last completely New Zealand-owned meat processor, owned by farmer shareholders, will now be 65% owned by Irish Dawn Meats, who are very strong in the UK and Ireland and Europe generally, whereas Alliance has traditionally had more strength probably in China, they would say, and in the US, so it's quite complementary. They are going to sell for $270 million, which will allow them to recapitalise, to pay down a banking syndicate that was basically banging on the door as soon as this afternoon, if this hadn't gone through, wanting their money back.
So what do they do when they get in? Once it's owned by Dawn Meats, what happens? Do they start cutting costs? Do they start ripping? What happens next?
Interesting to see, really, right? Because the opposite picture was, if we don't do this, Alliance was saying, we're going to have to shut works, we're going to have to downscale, there's going to be problems. There might have even been a loss of confidence from the very shareholders that have voted against it, and they might have started withdrawing stock and not actually supplying them. So it could have been quite a bad spiral. You'd imagine that the opposite might happen now, that they'll continue to supply in reasonable numbers, provided they're getting a good market price, and that Dawn will, because it has a stronger footprint in UK supermarkets and so on, it's already quite a leading retail wrapper of lamb from New Zealand. If it's now got a bit of a stake in the whole chain, it might be able to push more of that through at a better price and so on. So that they would argue this is sort of a plus. This is how they're going to take things from here on, and that it gives it a sustainable future. It also gives it a pretty handy sort of $40 million worth of cash back into the back pockets, I think, of those farmers.
And stops the knocking at the door that you were
talking about. I mean, Mark Wynne he's the chair of Alliance. He said, we need the cash.
Yeah.
There is no way around this, and nobody but these guys have come up with a better plan. I think quite a number, about 90% of the people that looked at it said, So these guys, presumably Dawn, see a good price. It's arguably probably quite a fair or even a low price, perhaps, to pay for what they're getting.
Appreciate that, Garth. Thank you. Garth Bray, Business Desk, for the latest updates. Thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. It is 21 minutes away from 9.